Namaste, nerds. This is Navinad, the budget pub stomper, and today we're going to be doing something different, which we always do. So we're going to be doing something much the same as what we always do, which is be different. So we're going to be doing the same old thing by being different, which is kind of the same old thing, which is, different. So what are we doing that's so different today? Well, I've been thinking a lot about the state of the format. And so, kind of one of the problems with this budget competitive format is that it tends to be a bit of a stepping stone where people will come from high power casual. They'll come into the Stomping Grounds Discord and they'll start getting more familiar with and comfortable with the idea of CDH. And the bottom line is, it's just easier to find games firing on Spell Table for CDH. And so a lot of times we end up losing some of the momentum that we get built up to CDH, which, I play a lot of CDH myself. And so I thought, I love CDH, and I'm glad that there's a format called, I'm happy about there being CDH and that you can always find games on Spell Table. But my personal mission is to try to make that a reality for budget competitive. And I'm thinking, nothing attracts a crowd like a crowd, right? That's the main thing is. I think we need to kind of just get as soon as I get some more momentum going, and I've had these moments where I feel like I just failed to act, right? I was in a budget competitive competition. We've had leagues. I've had games firing I had games firing weekly right up until the holidays there for a while, and I just thought it would go on forever, and it's really petered off since then. So step one is I want to get the quasi format kind of reinvigorated. Step two is once I get that momentum, I want to keep it. So we'll talk more about how I intend to do that later. Right now, I want to see if I can garner some interest, right? So I thought what I would do is I would go through some of my decks and just show you what it looks like to goldfish these decks. Talk a little bit about not just one specific deck, but like the format, some of my favorite decks. So I've kind of set some aside here. Absolutely love budget Kinnan. I'm sick of Kinnan and CDH, but when it comes to budget competitive, it's such a cool freaking deck. The way it works, the way it goes. Love it. Love everything about it. Don't love the $134 price. See, this is another thing though. I haven't updated this in 5 months, and when you know kind of what the good cards are for Commander, because you play or have an ear to the CDH world and you're trying to build the best decks you can on a budget, well, you have a tendency to be pretty good at speculating, which means you fill your decks with cards that are going to go up in value, which obviously is good, except for when you're trying to keep a roster or a queue of tons and tons of budget decks. But let's see if we update this, see if we can get that price to drop. Update to cheapest. Yeah, not too bad. So this is $1.14. We could go through and get rid of some stuff. $5.39 for Coma, which I'm sure was put in here because it was like $1 when it came out. There's easy. Yeah, there's definitely easy swaps in here. I know things like Machine's God Effigy are on a tear in competitive Commander. I'm not going to go through and actually fix the price of the decks today, but that was $100. One Ben Booty 101 and 19 cents. Man, I just fixed this. Like, when was it? 8 days ago, I had this thing down to $100. It's already popped back up. Damn it. This one's tough. But you know what I do? Like, one of the little tricks now that I figured out is you keep a couple luxury pieces you know damn well you do not need in the deck that are overpriced, so that you can drop them if you need to. For instance, $7.22 for Cursed or for Jeweled Amulet. We can cut that and we can put a really good counter spell in and have $1 left to get a sandwich on the way home or whatever. Then I've been having a lot of fun goldfishing Kalamax. So this is one we're going to kind of play some hands. We're just going to run out some hands. And then let's go through my decks. Now, if you have not followed my Moxfield account, shame on you. Please do that. Link in the description. Yeah, or just just grab one of the go to the one of the deck lists and just follow me. If you go to my, I don't know how it looks from your perspective, but you just go to my $100 list. It'll be budget CDH 100, and you've got. Does it show how many? I think there's 70. Well, there's 70 plus lists here. And you find something you like, you click on it, you take a look, and you say, how can I make this deck my own? Or you print the damn thing off, or you buy it. It's only $100. Don't be a cheapskate. Budget Chain Val. This is a cool one. $134. Yeah, it was 6 months ago. This one's kind of complicated. Teferi is a complicated combo. Maybe we'll leave this one be. Or maybe we won't. Yeah, let's leave it be. Tevish Rog. I don't want to waste too much time on this. This is a neat one to Goldfish, but I did a video. Oh, here we go. Ashaya. Hundo Ashaya. Yeah, and that's $107. Yeah, I've never done this one on the channel. Let's see if we can get it down to 100. Update to the cheapest version of every card. Holy shit, we can afford luxury pieces. This one's $81. We're in there. Well, I know one thing we're gonna add for sure is we're gonna add Archdruid's Charm. I'm just gonna do that right now. What can we cut? Let's do a cut. Swiftfoot Boots kinda sucks, but it's probably in here because of the haste thing. Well, we can take this out and add the real deal, right? So we're going to move this to considering. We're going to grab our, what are the real boots called? Oh, good Lord. Lightning Greaves. Alright, so we've got the better boots now. And what's our worst tutor? Or removal piece. Traverse. Yep. You're going to go to considering. And we're going to upgrade to Archdruid's Charm. This deck is freaking cool, guys. God, I can't believe that's still $5. Buy those, guys. Alright, $90, cool. Alright, so let's play around with some of these decks. Let's just see what it looks like. This, if you've not played Budget Competitive, if you grab one of my lists, or you build your own, hop on the Pub Stompers Discord, the Stomping Grounds Discord, and we're happy to help you build a budget deck. I wish you would. We need to coalesce around a common goal. Sometimes that means a common enemy, so you could come on and be a jackass. Or sometimes it means a common friend. Come in, ask for help. My buddies on the Discord are going to be tripping over each other to try to help you build a better deck. So let's goldfish this one first. This is my dog right here, and I just recently rebuilt this, and I love it. Let's take a look at some hands. Go to the playtester. Okay, so this is our first 7. Would we keep this? Hell yes, we would keep this. The only question is, do we go turn 1? So this land comes into play tapped, and it comes with 2 depletion counters. You can tap it, remove a counter to add 2 blue mana. So this is a way to get us to our turn 2 Malcolm. Now we could also put out our Skirk Prospector, which is another way to get us to our turn 2 Malcolm. But that would rely on us drawing another land in order to be able to hold up Divert, which is what I really want to do. What I love to do is to be able to go turn 1, ramp piece, pass, turn 2 Malcolm, turn 3 Kediss, and hold up protection when I go to combat. Well, let's see. If we draw a land, that'll help. There we go. Now we know what to do. So we're going to go turn 1 like this. We're going to pass the turn. We're going to go to our second turn. Turn 2, Fiery Islet, sack a Goblin. Get our turn 2 Malcolm. We're going to go to our turn 3. Command tower. Okay, so this all came together perfectly. This is what we want. We want to go like this, and then we're going to put out our Kediss. Now, Kediss says whenever Malcolm deals damage to an opponent, it deals damage to the other 2 opponents. Well, that means a pirate will be dealing damage to 3 opponents, so we're going to make 3 treasures. So now every time we hit any player, we're going to make 3 treasures. The other thing is, if we put a curiosity on, see, we've got this curiosity. If we put curiosity on Malcolm and we go to combat, then we would make 3 treasures. If we hit somebody, we make 3 treasures and draw 3 cards. That's grotesque. Don't be greedy. Don't be greedy. Oh, I played the wrong thing and sacked the wrong thing. Skirk Prospector is supposed to be dead, not you. Not you, my goblin pirate buddy. So we're not going to be greedy and put the curiosity on in game. Don't do that. If we're gold fishing right now, we just want to see how cool it looks. You can do it, but don't do that. I mean, if your opponents are all playing like turbo decks and they're just going burr, they're not playing any interaction, they don't give a shit about you or your dreams or your hopes, your desires in life, your safety, then go ahead, put the curiosity on and go crazy. Most likely they're not going to be totally irresponsible, and you don't want to do that. So we're going to play responsible. We're going to go to combat. We're going to hit somebody. We're going to make our 3 treasures. All right, now we don't want to waste our mana. So now we actually have an interesting decision. I actually hadn't thought this out very well. So now the question is, would we want to put the curiosity on our Malcolm, or do we want to build a little curiosity engine? I think we want to do the engine. Let's do this instead. We go 1, and we burn a treasure to play a Kessig Flame Breather, and get our Flame Breather in play. Then I'm gonna pause you for a moment. And we're gonna put our, let's see, then we're gonna burn another treasure to put the curiosity on the Kessig. So the reason we want to do this is because we don't want to increase the threat of our Malcolm, and this will also hopefully divert a little bit of the attention away from our Malcolm. Look how much fun this is. Honestly, guys. Okay, so like the coolest thing is when you can turn this Kessig Fire Breather or one of his cohorts into a pirate also, and then you just go like totally silly with it. Here we've only got 1 spell, and it's an interactive spell, so we're kind of here just hoping that somebody tries to do something crazy. So this is us being responsible. You definitely could have put the curiosity on the Malcolm, and then every turn you can just go to combat, make 3 treasures, draw 3 cards, and you're drawing 4 cards every turn. If you're hitting your land drops, you're adding 4 mana every turn. And these are the kinds of engines that you sort of have to build. You know, we don't have like just Jamristic Study, Mystic Remora, Smothering Tithe, and the budget version of the format. We have to get a little bit more creative than that, but it's a lot of fun, you know. So this is us having fun. So let's just say, I don't know, somebody tries to 86 Malcolm or kill our Kessig, and we're like, well, I'm going to burn this treasure, and we're going to divert that. And instead of killing my Malcolm, let's kill your Selvala. And so that is going to trigger our Kessig Flame Breather, which is going to cause us to draw 3 cards. 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to go to our turn. So now we're going to our turn 4. And depending on whether or not we feel like we're going to need... how much mana do we really need, right? We can play this so that next turn we can go for our Niv Mizzet and really get to rolling. But I think what we'll do here is we'll start this turn off. Did I even draw? Did I go to my next turn? I don't know. Where am I at? Who are you? Where am I? All right, so maybe we would Decisions. Well, let's start by just casting a spell that is neither a creature, it's just creature. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, casting Flame Breather deals 1 damage to each opponent. Okay, so let's just cast a non-creature spell. That's going to ping each opponent, and that's going to trigger Curiosity and let us draw 1 card for each of those opponents that we pinged. 1, 2, 3. And then maybe we play a land. It's a tough call. Let's play this one. And we'll go 1 blue, 2 blue, and a colorless. We're going to play our Grazilax. Now, Grazilax says that whenever 1 or more creatures that we control deals combat damage to an opponent, we draw a card, and if somebody blocks one of our dudes, we can bounce it back to our hand, usually making it a lot safer to attack with our dudes. I don't know that we'd have a lane to attack with Kessig, realistically, because we wouldn't want to lose our Curiosity. But I think we could pretty safely attack with both of these. Like maybe Kediss would just get blocked, which he doesn't have an ETB. So let's just never mind that. Let's just say we're going to just attack with our Malcolm. And we'll get an extra draw from the Grazilax. And we'll make 3 treasures from Kediss. So let's get our treasures. 1, 2, 3. And we get our extra draw from Grazilax. Draw. We're at 8 cards in hand. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 mana. We could do this. We could go Tempted by the Auric. This really depends on, obviously all this depends on the board state and the situation at hand. If we've got, let's see, who are our kind of random commanders? Kalamax, Hundo, Ashaya, and Buckbonder. If we had like a Magda and a Kinnan in play, our opponents were playing, it's hard to say, but we might want to cast Tempted and just snatch, yoink 2 of our opponent's commanders, and then like a Mana Dork and a Hate Bearer or whatever, a value piece. And then get our 3 draw triggers, but let's just kind of play it safe and leave up mana for our interaction. I think we might as well tap this to put this guy down, because we can always sacrifice this to ping somebody's dork, or we can also just go face and make a treasure. So we really can't get hurt by using this mana, because worst case scenario, we can exchange this guy for a treasure token, and we were going to probably discard him anyway. So we'd pass turn, and now we're just kind of begging for somebody to cast anything. Like, there's just no way, if we get to this point, it's so hard to lose. Like, somebody tries to combo off, or maybe turn 4, one of our opponents is going to cast their Kalamax or their Hundo Ashaya. And we're just like, no, I think you ought not do that. I'd really prefer you didn't. And we go 1, 2, cash in 2 treasures for a Lofty Denial, which means our opponent would have to come up with an extra 4 mana. And they can't, so we counterspell that, big game-changing thing, or maybe even a win attempt. And we get a ping off of our Kessig, which means we draw 3 cards. 1, 2, 3. We go to our next turn. And probably we just keep playing these lands. Maybe now it's time to put our Niv Mizzet in play. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We can always ping somebody with this to make a treasure as an emergency if we need. Or maybe we don't do that. Maybe we... In fact, let's put that treasure back. Instead of casting the Niv Mizzet here, let's just be responsible adults. Let's just go to combat. We can swing with this for sure, and if somebody decides to block it, we'll just return it to our hand. No harm, no foul. Maybe we'd have an attack with Kediss, maybe not. Maybe with this guy, maybe not. But let's just say one of them gets a lane. So we also have our Kalamax, and we attack somebody with that. Let's just say we've got a lane for our Kalamax and a lane for our Malcolm, but not one for our Kediss and not one for our Fanatical Firebrand. I think that seems kind of fair. We're going to make our 3 treasures. 1, 2, 3. Wait. What's happening? Add token. 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to draw 1 extra card, 2 extra card. 1, 2. And then we're going to cast... Oh, no, we got there. I didn't even realize we'd gotten there. So here's... Okay, let's just do this. We're going to... We've got our Reckless Fireweaver. We've got our combo. So we could just win the game. So I guess that's what we just do. We just win the game. We cast our Reckless Fireweaver. I didn't even notice we had. Reckless Fireweaver says, whenever an artifact you control enters the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. So we actually would have done that before combat. We screwed up. Is it going to matter? Not really. So we cast our Artificial Evolution, which is going to change the creature type of our Kediss Fireweaver, or Reckless Fireweaver, into Pirate. So now, anytime an artifact enters, we deal 1 damage to each opponent. So now we just have to arrange for an artifact to enter. Yeah, we did kind of screw up. We needed to do this before combat. Well, it doesn't matter. We've got outs. Okay. Oh, no, we've got it deterministically. Okay, so this guy's a pirate. So whenever he deals damage, we're going to make a treasure. A treasure happens to be an artifact. And anytime an artifact comes into play, it pings everybody. So all we need to do is arrange for an artifact to enter the battlefield, and we go into an infinite loop. So we've got our our Fanatical Firebrand. We're going to tap this guy. We're going to sacrifice it to ping somebody for 1 damage that is coming from a pirate. So that is going to trigger our Malcolm, which is going to make a treasure. This treasure token coming into play is an artifact entering the battlefield. This artifact entering the battlefield is going to trigger the Reckless Fireweaver, which says whenever an artifact you control enters, this creature deals 1 damage to each opponent. So this is going to ping everybody for 1. Well, it's a pirate. And Malcolm says whenever a pirate deals a damage, we're going to make an artifact token, a treasure token, which is an artifact. And so when this token comes into play, it's going to trigger this, which is going to ping everybody, which is going to make 3 more tokens come into play. And when those 3 treasure tokens come into play, those are going to trigger the Reckless Fireweaver, and that's going to ping everybody, and that's going to make a treasure, which is going to ping everybody, and on and on and on. And if we hadn't had the Reckless Fireweaver, what we could also have done is we could have put the Artificial Evolution on the Kediss Flame Breather. Then we just cast a spell, say Chart a Course, and since we have attacked, this just says draw 2 cards. Since we've attacked, we don't have to discard any cards. So we cast that spell. That's going to, we'll draw 2 cards and not discard anything. And now, since we cast a spell, it's not a creature, this thing is going to ping each opponent for 1. That's going to give us 3 treasures. We're going to add tokens 1, 2, 3. Okay. And since this thing's pinging everybody and it has a curiosity, it's going to draw us 3 cards. And we go 1, 2, 3. And then we cast a non-artifact spell. So this one here. And we yoink 3 things from our opponents. And actually what we could do then is we could dispel it. And then we could counterspell it. And then we could dispel our counterspell. So each time we get the cast trigger, we're going to draw 3 cards and make 3 treasures. But even just casting this, we draw 3 and we make 3 treasures, 1, 2, 3 treasures, and then we cast a lightning bolt, and that's going to trigger the flame breather, which is going to draw 3 cards and make 3 treasures, so on and so forth. And we've created a storm engine, which is a non-deterministic way to just murder everybody. Eventually we put this guy out. This is kind of the same thing as this, and it's going to be burning everybody out. And finally, inevitably, we will get to our Niv Mizzet and a curiosity effect, or we'll get to our Glinthorn Buccaneer and put a curiosity on it. So this is the fun kind of shit that you're missing out on by not playing this format. How are we doing on time? Damn it. Let's do Kalamax. This will be fun. This will be fun. Let's do some gold fishing. Sure. I wanted to get some hands in. Draw. Sure. Never punished. Soul Ring. Arcane Signet. Next turn. We go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 floating. Actually, we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So that gets us our turn 2 Kalamax, which is not the norm, but is sick when it happens. Then we play land for turn. We attack with our Kalamax on turn 3. We cast a crop rotation, sacrificing a land. We get 2 lands with our crop rotation. So it turns it into a ramp spell. Yeah, so that's probably what we do, and that pumps our Kalamax and puts 2 lands into play. Makes this guy 6 power. I would have had to have sacrificed a land, actually. So we would have sacked that one. Doesn't matter. Hold up interaction. We go to our next turn. If somebody tries to kill our Kalamax while he's tapped, we get 2 copies of Bolt Bend. Good luck. Go to our next turn. We swing with our big fat dino. And we tap 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana to cast Return of the Wild Speaker, which is an instant, so it's gonna copy it because that's what Kalamax does. And so we're gonna, whenever Kalamax is tapped and you cast the first instant spell each turn, not on each one of your turns, on each turn, you copy that spell. So, well, and he gets a +1 counter each time you copy a spell. So he's going to go to a 7 in between the first and the second, I believe is how that'll work. So we draw 6 for the first iteration of Return of the Wild Speaker, because this just has a mode that says draw cards equal to the greatest power amongst non-human creatures you control. So we would draw 6, and then we would draw 7. Pretty sure that's how that works. So that's our little budget mono green ad nauseum, and that is draw 13 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Sweet, right? So now we would discard a bunch of cards. Maybe we would play some ramp out, maybe not. We want to hold up mana so that we can get max value. If we can get to this Nexus of Fate extra turn spell and copy it and get 2 extra turns, so our next turn is going to be like 3 turns, then basically we win the game. So we really should, since we've got 16 cards in hand, let's find a hand that let's find the cards we don't want to discard. We'll find our kind of perfect hand to keep. Probably we want that because it does everything. Want that. 2, we'll want to land. 3. Maybe a little protection for opt is pretty good. 5, 6, and this guy. Yeah, something like that. And we would discard the rest of this. Alright, then we would pass the turn, and hopefully somebody tries to do something messed up and we can jam their attempt with our stubborn denial or whatever. Decisive denial. We can have our big ass creature fight something, or we can counterspell a thing. So let's say, well, let's just say we cast an opt. During somebody's turn, Kalamax is tapped, so we're going to get a copy, which is going to buff our Kalamax. The first one is going to be this. We'll go ahead and put that to the bottom and draw this guy. And then the second is going to be this, and we'll keep that. And then maybe somebody tries to get crazy and kill our Kalamax, and we say bolt bend. Why don't we kill your thing instead if it's all the same to you? It makes a copy of bolt bend, so maybe we kill 2 things and we get a copy. Gets back to our turn, and we play our land for turn. We tap our Kalamax probably just by going to combat. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We can safely cast our Nexus of Fate and hold up 2 blue. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like that, and cast Nexus of Fate, which is take an extra turn after this one, and it's going to get copied. The copy buffs our dude. This gets shuffled into our library. Okay, now we've got 2 extra turns. So we go to our next turn. We go to our first next turn, and we maybe probably just set up to win the game on our next turn. We'll go to, okay, here's what we could do. We can go to combat, attack with our 10-10, and bust somebody up good. Now that this guy's tapped, we will cast a sorcery spell, which is regrowth. And we're going to regrowth our, doesn't really matter. What's the nastiest, craziest thing we can regrow? This. Just in case things don't go our way, we'll have a nice little backup plan of draw 20 cards. Alright, but we're going to regrow, targeting our Return of the Wild Speaker. With that on the stack, us holding priority, we're going to cast the expansion part of Expansion Explosion, which is it's a copy spell. It's a fork, but it can only fork things with CMC 3 or less. So we're going to have this copy the regrowth, and so we'll also have regrowth targeting this counterspell. Doesn't really matter. And that's going to make our, this is kind of hard to explain. So the regrowth is the target for the expansion. That expansion is the first instant that we've cast this turn. So our Kalamax is going to copy it. And the copy of the expansion is going to copy the expansion. And that is going to copy the expansion, which is going to copy the expansion. And we're going to just keep doing that. And make our Kalamax as big and beefy as ever a thing were. And so maybe we make it a 50-50, so we can take out the next person just as a one-shot, right? Also, then when we cast our, because we have an extra turn coming, when we cast our Return of the Wild Speaker, we'll draw however many cards. We don't want to deck ourselves, so maybe we make Kalamax a 50-50. And we put 2 cards back into our hand with our regrowth that eventually does, well, actually, we'll end up with the copy from expansion and the copy from the copied expansion. And so we're going to get 3 cards back from our graveyard, and we will just make them, oh, it doesn't matter, Bolt Bend and Mana Leak. And this can all go into the bin. And this guy is a 50-50, maybe a 60-60, whatever. We're going to draw our deck next turn is the idea. So before we go to our next turn, our next extra turn, we'll cast Hyrax Tower Scout, untapping our 50-50 boy. Really just want to make sure he's a one-shot machine. We'll call it 44. And we'll go to our next extra turn. And we'll play a land. And we will cast 1, 2, 3 to cast Archdruid's Charm. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I guess we have to be a little careful how we tap. Yeah. So green, green, green. Archdruid's Charm finds Kiki-Jiki. We go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to cast Kiki-Jiki. Notice we have not gone to combat yet. And now we will tap our Kiki-Jiki to make a copy of Hyrax Tower Scout. When that copy of Hyrax Tower Scout enters, it's going to untap target creature, which is going to be Kiki-Jiki. Then we're going to tap Kiki-Jiki to make a copy of Hyrax Tower Scout. And when that comes into play, it's going to untap target creature, which will be Kiki-Jiki. Kind of see where this is going. So we're going to make an infinite army of Hyrax Tower Scouts, and we are going to murk everyone with our Kalamax. Now notice it says turn 7, but really the last 3 turns were ours. Like we took the last 3 turns because of the Nexus of Fate that we copied. So that's kind of just like a little sneak preview of Kalamax. It's a super fun deck to play. Do we have another one that we want to... Let's do one quick... We'll do one quick one. One restart with Kalamax. Oh man, and just if we would have had a green mana, this would be an easy keep. There it is, right on top. We're going to cheat a little bit and just play. Draw. Trying to rush through this a little bit. We're going to cast our Birds of Paradise. Go to next turn. We're going to cast this. Like that. And maybe we have to bounce a couple of things, maybe not. So if we want to slow people down a little bit, we can run away together and bounce somebody's Magda and somebody's Silvala or whatever. Go to our next turn. Maybe we just hold it up. We don't need it yet. Oh man, we're just flooding out now. 1, 2, 3, 4. Obviously, we would have done that like this. Probably doesn't matter. And we'd go to our next turn. Got a little interaction to hold up. We really need green mana. Green, green, green. No, we're good. Okay. So we can go to our combat step. Smack somebody with big old Kalamax. And then on our turn, maybe next person's turn. We probably pass turn. And as soon as somebody thinks they're going to do something goofy, we're going to cast Runaway Together with our Kalamax tapped, which means we're going to make a copy of Runaway Together. So we're going to bounce 4 target creatures. So we're doing like a little mini Psych Rift here. Really, like on turn 4, probably we get rid of everything that matters, realistically. And we get a counter because we copied a spell. And we go to our next turn. Man, we are just mana flooding. But we do have a piece of protection and our main combo line, which I'm glad that you guys get to see the main combo. Do we have enough mana yet? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're 1 short. Oh no, we can convoke. We're good. We are good. All right, so we are going to tap 1 green, 2 green, 3 green. We'll leave this up. 1, 2, 3 green, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to convoke cast Chord of Calling. Now we haven't gone to combat. We tapped Kalamax to convoke, but since this is tapped, it does make a copy of the first instant that we played this turn. And the first instant that we've played this turn is Chord of Calling. X equals 5. So Chord of Calling, X equals 5, means we can find any creature from our deck that is 5 CMC or less, and we put it directly into play. So what are the two? So we're going to get a copy of that. So what are the 2 5 mana or less creatures that we're going to find? It's going to be... doesn't really matter exactly. We've got 2 versions of this. We'll do Pestermite to the battlefield, and we will do Kiki-Jiki to the battlefield. So this was a nice, clean turn 5 win. And, you wouldn't realistically have to try to jam this win. You could always wait until your next turn. That way you can hold up a blue mana for Dispel, plus whatever you draw, which would be Counterspell, right? Well, you'd only be able to hold up one piece of interaction. But, sometimes you just wait. And sometimes you just beat people to death with your Kalamax. But that was actually a pretty good showing. If you're not familiar with Pestermite, it is a flash creature. When it ETBs, you can tap or untap target permanent. So in this case, we're going to make a copy of it with Kiki-Jiki, and the copy is going to ETB, and it's going to untap target creature, which is going to be Kiki-Jiki, and then that's going to tap to make a copy of Pestermite, which is going to enter and untap Kiki-Jiki. So it's basically the same combo we did in the last iteration, but using Pestermite instead. And Pestermite's a little bit better in the deck because it actually does have a little bit of synergy. Push comes to shove, if you don't have anything else going on, you can use it to tap down your Kalamax if somehow somebody has a bigger creature than your 4/4 base. So when your Kalamax is tapped, that's how you get it to copy spells. I hope this is fun. The idea is to show you how much damn fun we're having, but I spent so much time on that flipping One Ben's booty. I don't have as much time as I'd like to get into some of these other decks. But let's do some Buckbonder. All right. Kinnan is a lame deck in CDH. I'm totally tired of it, but I think it's super cool in this quasi kind of sub format. You can take a look at the list here. It's at $114. I just haven't updated it lately, but like Spell Snare went to $6 inexplicably, so we could ditch that. There's some easy subtractions and additions that we could do here and get this list back up to or back down to $100, no problem. It would be no issue. Looking for so we're going to 6. Maybe we would play this. It's a bad hand, but like I don't want to go to 6. Yeah, let's go to 6. If we knew we were gonna hit a land, this would be great. But we don't know that. Going to 5. Going to 4. Okay, I guess we're going to play a 4. Bottom that. And bottom that. Probably we just have to bottom the Moon Snare. This is a really good card in this deck. There's our 4. Sucks to suck. Alright, so we go turn 1, bird. Go turn to 1-2 Kinnan. We go turn 3, 1-2-3. Cast our trophy mage to get basalt. No. We're going to transmute Drift of Phantasms to get basalt monolith. What the hell is that? Alright, then we will go to our next turn. God, weird. I mean, this is a Multifor. What do you expect, right? Man. Not doing great here. Go 1-2 for this. We go 1-2-3 to cast Basalt Monolith. Now, Basalt Monolith says tap for 3 mana. Pay 3 mana to untap Basalt Monolith. With Kinnan, since Kinnan just gives all of your mana dorks and mana rocks 1 extra mana that they produce, of whatever colors they can produce. So Basalt Monolith taps for 4 mana with Kinnan out, and it untaps for 3 mana. So we can tap this to make 4, untap it for 3 mana, leaving 1 floating. Untap it to make 4. I'm sorry, tap it to make 4. Untap it for 3 of those 4. Now we've got 2 colorless floating, and we can continue to do that over and over until we make infinite mana. However, that mana is going to be infinite colorless mana. That's why the sequencing mattered here, and I had to do the transmute first because that requires blue colorless. So I'm going to need to cast the trophy mage. And even though I've got infinite colorless mana, I've only got 1 colored mana, which is blue, as fortune would have it. And we cast our trophy mage, and we search our library for an artifact card with CMC 3. And that can be, what is the name of the card? It's a mirror of some sort. Mirage Mirror. There we go. All right. So we cast our trophy mage. We've got infinite colorless. So we need a colorless payoff. So this Mirage Mirror, we're going to spend some of our infinite colorless mana to cast Mirage Mirror. Now, Mirage Mirror for 2 mana can become a copy of anything in play. It's going to become a copy of our command tower. We're going to tap it for a blue. Now we're going to pay 2 mana and make it a copy of our Basalt Monolith. Now, we're going to use some of our infinite mana to untap it since it is a Basalt Monolith. Now, we're going to pay some of our infinite colorless mana to make it a command tower. We're going to tap the command tower for a green. And we're going to use some of our infinite mana to turn it into Basalt Monolith. Then we're going to use some of our infinite mana to use the untap ability of Basalt Monolith because this is now a copy of Basalt. We're going to untap it. We're going to use that colorless to turn it into command tower. Tap it for a blue. Untap it, tap it, untap it, tap it. We're going to make infinite blue and infinite green mana. What are we going to do with all this mana? Well, not only does Kinnan have this mana engine ability, but it also has this ability, 5 colorless, a blue and a green. Look at the top 5 cards of your library and put any non-human creature card from among them onto the battlefield directly. Then you put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. So that's going to allow us to go through our deck. I mean, it's going to be in chunks of 5, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're just going to put all of our creatures into play. When Terastodon ETBs, it blows up, up to 3 target non-creature permanents. And for each of those permanents, we put a 3/3, elephant? Yeah, green elephant token into play. So we just blew up 3 things. And these go to the bottom in the order that we want. So while we're going through all of this, we actually get to stack our deck also. But mainly, the main thing is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to use Kinnan's ability and the infinite mana that we've washed into infinite colored mana to put all of our creatures into play. So once we've put every single creature from the deck onto the battlefield, then we just need a way to actually finish the game. So one of the ways we could do that, there's lots of ways. I mean, we just have all of our dudes. So we can really, so we also get to stack our deck. So let's just say we put Capsize on top as we go through our deck, activating Kinnan. And we get Temur Sabertooth, or this could be Kogla. We'd have our Temur Sabertooth in play, and so we can use our infinite mana to use the Temur Sabertooth. For 2 mana, you can return a creature to your hand, and then we can cast it again and blow up everybody's stuff. And we do it over and over and over and over until we've blown up everything everybody has. And since we're casting spells and we've got Hullbreaker Horror in play, we can be bouncing things to their owner's hands. So we can bounce these tokens that we're leaving behind to everybody's hand. So we bounce every single thing. Well, first we blow up every single thing in play that isn't ours. We make a bunch of elephants, 3/3s, and then we start bouncing those elephants to the opponent's hands. Well, they're tokens, so they just vanish. So we have wiped the board of everything. Nobody has anything at all. Then we have all of our creatures out. We could say, like, okay, I pass the turn and dare them to try something. That's one way to go. But a more kind of like foolproof way to do it is get Beast Whisperer. I mean, there's really, once you have infinite colored mana in this deck, there's just infinite mana means infinite different ways to win. So we've stacked the deck however we want it. We've got our Beast Master or Beast Whisperer in play. We've got infinite mana. We make sure that we've got let's just say blanking on the name of the draw spell, but there's a draw spell in here. It's Drown in Dreams. Okay, so we make sure we have these creatures in play. We've got our Beast Whisperer and our Temur Sabertooth in play, and we make sure that Drown in Dreams is the top card of our library, because remember, we effectively get to stack our deck. And we put Drown in Dreams on top. Then we cast a creature. We draw the Drown in Dreams. We pump the infinite mana into Drawn in Dreams. And it says choose one. If you control a commander, which we do, you choose 2 instead. Target player draws X cards. Target player mills 2 times X cards. So we just cast it for X equals 83, and we make one person draw 100 and whatever I said. What did I say? 83. So we make one person draw 166 cards. We deck them, and we draw our entire deck. This is in the graveyard, but so now we've got our entire deck in hand, where we have Eternal Witness is already in play because we went through our deck and put all of our creatures into play with Kinnan's ability. So we can bounce the Temur, or we can bounce the Eternal Witness to hand with the Temur Sabertooth, cast the Eternal Witness, and get the Drown in Dreams back to hand. So we would, of course, had to have saved it. We wouldn't draw our entire deck, literally, leave a few cards. And then we're going to cast Drown in Dreams a second time, X equals 1 billion. And this time, we're going to do both modes on the 2 players remaining. We're going to have one of them mill 2 times X cards, and the other one is going to draw X cards, where X equals 1 billion. We've milled all of our opponents out and blown up all their permanents, and so on. Won the game that way. Let's do it. So this is what the format looks like if you're doing it right. This is what it looks like when you're doing it right. That was a mull to 4, by the way. I shouldn't be bragging. We really just need to hit a damn dork. Going to 6. Urgh. Not great. We've got a little bit of ramp. This isn't ideal. We're already going to 6. Let's put this guy on the bottom. I mean, this really, to be fair, is not supposed to be a turbo deck anyway. So probably this is a fine hand. We draw for turn. We play a land, pass, which we hate, but I don't really want to go to 4 again. Turn 2, play a rock. Turn 3, play our Kinnan. And now, depending on the situation, we could hold up interaction. If we're public enemy number 1, we might want to do that. Hold up a spell pierce, so if somebody tries to murder our dude, we can counterspell their murder spell. And then probably that would be the play. And we wait. If somebody tries something, then we spell pierce their thing. It's only turn 3. They're not going to be able to pay. And if nobody does anything, then we can end step, blow up the most valuable target. So we blow something up, and we go to our next turn, and maybe we start spinning Kinnan. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're not quite there yet. So Kinnan's sick because you can actually start flipping into like monsters, like literally monsters, but big old monsters. But let's just go 1, 2, 3. We cast a Minglehorn, which blows up an artifact on ETB. So this is another high value target we've just hit. Plus we've just slowed everybody down because, I mean, this really is kind of a control deck. Now all of our opponent's artifacts ETB tapped. So now it's going to be hard for somebody to be that much faster than us. And somebody does try to do something that gets them ahead. We've got a rapid hybridization to murder their Malcolm, Magda, whatever mana piece, Selvala, Marwyn, name it. Or we go to our next turn. Maybe we didn't have to take care of any big problems. And now we can start spinning the top. We can start spinning Kinnan. So this is a really fun deck to play. You saw kind of the speed run version of it. We didn't mull hard that time, or this time for that. We hold up our interaction. We've got a counterspell. We've got a rapid hybridization. If something tasty came out, we could have cloned it. But we're looking to flip something nasty off the top. So 7 mana. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. In step before our untap, we do a Kinnan flip. So we're going to look at the top 5 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We hit 0 fatties. No fatties. If we had a way to bounce the Drift of Phantasms, we'd put that in play. That way we could bounce it to hand and get our Basalt. These will go to the bottom of the library. We pick the order, doesn't matter. Go to our next turn. We're holding up interaction, counterspell. We've got a clone for something if we need it. Got our Manglehorn. So we're sitting fairly pretty. And this time we can flip. We can do our Kinnan flip. This time holding up a mana for interaction, whether that's rapid hybridization or spell snare. Flip 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We whiffed. No. And go to our next turn. Okay, now we're holding up 2 mana, and we do kind of the same thing. Maybe this time we did really have to blow something up with a rapid hybridization. And in step before untap, we do our flip. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so now probably we just grab the Hullbreaker Horror, which can be a combo piece, which can get us infinite mana. If there is a nasty thing out there that we want to copy, we could copy it with Hulking Metamorph. If we're just looking to get ahead in value, we could play our Beast Whisperer, but we'll just keep the combo piece. And go to our next turn. So this is kind of how this deck is going to run. And usually it probably does run like this more than the first iteration. Now we just wait until we have a way to go mana positive, and then we can so we need like well, Soul Ring. really, or any tutor, or say if somebody has a Soul Ring in play. Oh, that's not gonna work. Never mind that. Let's just spin again. Restart. We really haven't gotten a good start with this deck. This is kind of interesting. We'll play this. Draw for turn. Play Springleaf Drum. Go to next turn. Play. I don't remember why Seed of the Synod is in this deck. I think it might be because at one time there was enough budget that I had the Opal in, maybe. Don't recall. Maybe there's a good reason, so we'll leave it. 1, 2, so turn 2, Kinnan. And we're able to hold up interaction. We've got our Basalt Monolith. Go next turn. So we could go infinite colorless mana with our Basalt Monolith right now. Surely there's a way to patch a win together, right? It's been a while since I've played this deck. Let's go green. No, I know. Let's go double green. And uncage the Menagerie. We can get... Wait, we want to go... We're going to go like this. We're going to go 1, 2, 3 for Basalt Monolith, giving us infinite colorless mana. We do have Decisive Denial, but we're going to not worry about that. We're going to just assume our opponents are ignoring us completely. It's only turn 3. Maybe they're tapped out. It's not CDH. They don't have walls of free interaction. All right, so we go green, green for Uncage the Menagerie. And so we can get two mana things. I think that's how this works. Search your library for up to 3 creature cards. No, up to X creature cards with different names that each have converted mana cost to X. Okay, so we can do X equals 2 and get 2 mana creatures. So that's what we're going to do. We've got our infinite mana with Basalt Monolith. We got green, green here. We cast our Uncage the Menagerie to get 2 mana creatures. One of them is going to be Stonework Pack Beast to hand, and the other one is going to be Devoted Druid, question mark, Devoted Druid. And really this is just to make sure we've got because in case our opponents are not actually just going to let us do whatever we want, we're going to have a backup plan here. So this is turn 3. We don't have protection up, but we do have a backup plan. So even if they get rid of one plan, we can still do the other thing. So first thing we're going to do is cast our Stonework Pack Beast. Now with our infinite colorless mana, we can pump that colorless mana into this Pack Beast to make colored mana. And we can do that to just infinitely flip with Kinnan and do like the weird end games that we do with Kinnan. So that's one plan. The other thing we could do is we could play the Devoted Druid with our green mana, and we can cast the Machine Gods. I mean, this is obviously overkill. I'm just trying to show you how the deck works. So we're going to use the Devoted Druid and the Machine God's Effigy. So the Machine God's Effigy costs just colorless mana. So we really only needed 1 green mana to do this. So even if we went, even if this thing got blown up, right? Let's say we were trying to go off, and more realistically, our opponents waited until we cast this. And they're like, okay, nope, gig's up. We've got to blow up the Basalt Monolith pronto. And they killed the Basalt Monolith. Okay, so if they don't do that, we can just go through and flip through our entire deck and win right now on turn 3. But even if they do, or even if they blew up this also, we don't even need that. We could go to our next turn, and now we can do this, let's see, like so. We go green, colorless, Devoted Druid. 1, 2. No, we're 1 mana short. Okay, so it would have taken us 1 additional turn. But we're good, right? Because we can go 1, 2, Devoted Druid, and we can hold up 2 pieces of interaction. We've got Decisive Denial as a counter spell or a removal piece. And we've got our Dispel, which will allow us to protect our Devoted Druid. And now, mind you, this is after they've already blown up our Basalt Monolith. Another thing we could do is we could just cast the Eternal Witness and pick up the damn Basalt Monolith from the graveyard, but we're not trying to do that. We're doing this other line. So we hold up interaction, we don't cheat, and cast Ewit and get Basalt Monolith and run through the same thing we did last game. We go to our next turn, and we have our Devoted Druid in play. We go 1, 2, 3, 4 to cast Machine God's Effigy. This is a clone. So it says you may have Machine God's Effigy enter the battlefield as a copy of any creature on the battlefield except it's an artifact that has tap to add a blue. We're going to make it copy Devoted Druid. But it's not got Summoning Sickness because it's not a creature. Artifacts don't have Summoning Sickness. So our Machine God's Effigy is a copy of Devoted Druid, which means I can tap it for green, and then I can put a neg counter on it to untap it. But it doesn't have power and toughness, so it doesn't matter. It's not a creature. So we can put infinite neg 1 counters on it, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't kill it. So we tap it for green, we untap it with the Devoted Druid. It can still tap for blue because that's just what it does. The card just always has the ability to tap for blue mana. So now we tap it for a blue. So we've got a green and a blue. And we put a neg 1 on it to untap it. We tap it for green. We put a neg 1 to untap it. We tap it for green, so on and so forth. And so this is another way to make infinite mana in the deck. And so this is what it looks like to play with really tuned, optimized, $100 budget competitive decks. I hope you enjoyed the video. I don't think we're going to do the Ashaya deck, although I think it's so cool. We just don't have time. I'm not expecting you to hang in there with me for, 2 hours watching me goldfish decks. But I guess just in brief summary, Ashaya says her power and toughness are each equal to the number of lands you control, and all of your non-token creatures are forests. So however many creatures and lands, forests that you have in play, that's how big Ashaya is. Also, because all of your creatures are forests, you can do cute little tricks, like use Argothian Elder. It says tap to untap 2 target lands. So you can tap it to target a forest and itself, because Ashaya says all of your creatures are forests, and Argothian Elder says you can tap it to untap 2 target lands. Well, she's a land, she's a forest. So we're going to untap a forest and we're going to untap her. Then we're going to tap that forest for mana, and then we're going to tap Argothian Elder to untap the forest and untap herself. So just any one forest plus Argothian Elder, and Ashaya goes infinite mana right there. So it's a 1-card combo with your commander. You need a way to outlet the mana, but there's tons of ways to outlet the mana. We've also got another version of her, at least one other version. Ley Weaver, same thing. Tap to untap 2 target lands. Well, she's a land if we have Ashaya in play. And so we can untap a real land and her, and we can keep doing that and make infinite mana. Then we've got the Quirion Ranger, which says return a forest you control to owner's hand to untap target creature. You can only use the ability once per turn. But if we've got, say, it doesn't matter. We've got Kalamax's Acolyte. She can tap for a mana equal to your devotion to green. So we've got the Acolyte in play, we've got Quirion Ranger in play, and we've got Ashaya. We tap the Alkalite, whatever it's called. Kalamax's A. We tap her for, 6 mana, and then we return a forest we control to our hand. Quirion Ranger is a forest when we've got Ashaya in play. So we return Quirion Ranger to our hand to untap a mana dork like Kalamax's Acolyte. We tap the Acolyte, we cast the Quirion Ranger. Now we can use the Quirion Ranger's ability again because it's a new game object. We return it to our hand to untap Karametra's Acolyte, and we go infinite mana that way. We can do the same thing with the other Ranger. It's Quirion Ranger and Scrib Ranger. Scrib Ranger is basically the exact same thing. So we've got all these just simple, basically one-card combos in the deck. Even if we just have a 1-mana dork, like a Fyndhorn Elves, we can use Quirion Ranger to untap the Fyndhorn Elves. We can tap the Fyndhorn Elves to cast the Quirion Ranger, and we can just net neutral there. You can keep doing that over and over and over, but if you have Lotus Cobra in play, well, that's landfall. So when you cast your Quirion Ranger, since it's a forest, that triggers the landfall ability of Lotus Cobra and adds a green mana to your mana pool, a mana of any color to your mana pool. And so with Lotus Cobra and Quirion Ranger and any mana dork, with Ashaya, infinite mana. You can interchange, instead of Quirion Ranger, you can use Scrib Ranger with the Lotus Cobra. As long as you have a dork that taps for at least 2 mana, you go infinite. Or you can use Tireless Provisioner instead of Lotus Cobra, along with your mana dork. And so any dork, Quirion Ranger, and Lotus Cobra. Or any dork that makes at least 2 mana, Scrib Ranger, plus Lotus Cobra or Tireless Provisioner. Or you can have your Temur Sabertooth, and you can bounce that to your hand. You can use the Temur Sabertooth to bounce a thing to your hand, like Quirion Ranger. Tap the Karametra's Acolyte. So this is basically just infinite mana the deck, right? Or the easiest thing to do is just Argothian Elder or Leyweaver with Ashaya, infinite mana. How do you convert that to a win? Well, all you need to do is find an outlet. We've got tons of them in the deck. Nylea Keen-Eyed has this 3 mana ability at the bottom. Reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature card, put it in your hand. Otherwise, put it in your graveyard if you want. So you can use that over and over and over when you have infinite mana to draw every creature in your deck and play every creature in your deck. Put them all out into play. You can do the same thing with Duskwatch Recruiter. Has basically the same ability. 3 mana, look at the top 3 cards, reveal a creature, put it in your hand. So you do that infinitely, put all of your creatures into play. So you just need a way to outlet it. Then when you've got your, or maybe you've got Beast Whisperer and you're bouncing the Quirion Ranger or the Scrib Ranger to your hand over and over, that allows you to draw your deck. Or you're using infinite mana, then you've got Temur Sabertooth to bounce any creature, recast it, bounce a creature, recast it, draw your deck that way. Or Elvish Harbinger. You kind of get the idea, I'm sure. It's it probably doesn't look all that different from a lot of the mono green decks that you're used to seeing, but the neat thing here is we've got as many outlets as we want to put into the deck. You just put in as many as you feel like you need, and then your Ashaya has literal 1-card combos in a mono green deck, which is loaded with tutors that can easily find your A plus B combo, with the A being in the command zone. I guess that's about as much as we're going to get into right now with this, but it's a really cool deck, and then you end up winning the game in interesting ways. Do I want to get into that? Let's just say you give all of your team haste. That's the easy thing to do. You can draw every creature in your deck. One of them is going to be Crashing Drawbridge. You play the Drawbridge. You've drawn your deck, so you cast your Lightning Greaves. You attach the Lightning Greaves to your Crashing Drawbridge. That gives your Drawbridge haste. Then you can tap the Drawbridge to give your entire team haste, and then you can attack everybody for the win. You can do that after you've used Kogla and Eternal Witness, or Temur Sabertooth and Eternal Witness, to pick up the same buff spell over and over, like Vines of Vastwood, to pump your entire team up infinitely so they get real big. Or just use Infectious Bite to poison your opponents out. Lots of ways to go. Return of the Wild Speaker to pump your team +3/+3 over and over and over and over and over. And one of the creatures that you'll be playing will be the Ulvenwald Oddity. And this has Trample and Haste, but more importantly, you transform it. Now, other creatures you control have +1/+1 Trample and Haste, so you can swing in the same turn you go infinite. That's the important part. But that has been like a list of some of the cool shit you can get up to in this amazing format that not enough people are playing. Until next time, may all your outs be alive. East side until the day I die. Word to your mothers, your brothers, your sisters. Peace be with you and you, but not you, because you suck. You know who you are. No, not you. Hey, calm down. Obviously not you, dude. We're cool. Namaste, nerd.